All right, hey everybody. Just getting on here. Sorry, trying to get this set up. Cool. Just trying to see where we're at here. Okay, I see people getting on now, so I apologize. Um, just got back from the local 600 Ford plant down in Dearborn, so we spent a couple hours at the gates down there. Actually, been an interesting week. The last few days. Yesterday we weren't even at gates at the Ford plant here in Sterling Heights for more than 10 minutes, and we ran off by security. But So we were down today, took a trip to the Dearborn plant, and actually spent 2 hours at shift change and probably hit over 1,000 people. So it was good to meet a lot of new people and have a lot of good conversation. I'm going to give it a few minutes here, let some more people get on here. Since I got on late here, I apologize again. Like I said, had to fly back here to the house to get back in time to run this. So. Um, Hey, John. Hey, Bill. Good to see you guys. All right, now I'm adding people as guests. That's pretty awesome. See how well I'm using this thing so far. So, Dave, Donald. Cody, good to see you. Raymond, how's it going, buddy? So I guess we'll get rolling here. What I want to do. Hey, Margaret, how's it going? Good to see you, Martha. Like I said earlier, it's been interesting. I mean, as you guys know, and you've seen, I mean, all over social media, a lot of the, the IEB is able to fly around the country and visit plants and talk to members, and a lot of the other candidates. It's been a struggle getting access to the members at the plant gates, things like that. I mean, something we typically do in our local, elections, but seems to be an issue with the international elections. So, but end of the day, the company seems, to have the right to remove people. So that seems to be the mantra right now when it comes to anybody that's opposition of the IEB, is that we're not allowed around the gates. So luckily today, we were actually allowed to stand there at down in Dearborn, and so met a lot of people. Things were really good. But I just want to take a short time here. We're going into the holiday weekend, this Labor Day, and so I just wanted to, I guess, start a new segment that I've come up with, and it's kind of, there's been a lot of misinformation and a lot of just basically what I want to call bullshit being put out there. Regarding myself, regarding UAWD, regarding the Members United slate, and regarding pretty much anyone that's running against the IEB. One of the things I want to do, I had a friend probably 6 months ago, 5 months ago, that gave me a gift one day. I was in my office when I showed up, and I thought it was really pretty cool. And I've always been trying to find a way to utilize this thing, but it's a bullshit button. So, I mean, and it's pretty cool when I hit the thing, it has a few sayings, and I've always kind of wondered how I can incorporate this into my job. And so throughout this campaign, I mean, the way it's been going right now, there's been a lot of BS flying around, a lot of just flat out, lies, misinformation. So I thought I would take this first opportunity to address some things, that the IAB's been putting out there. And I'm going to show you this point blank, just right off their webpage, so that, this isn't construed as misinformation or what they want to call half-truths or lies. This is directly from their webpage. And also, You know, what I'm going to talk about with the monitor's reports directly from the monitor. So these aren't my words, these are their words, and this is, you know, this will be the monitor's words on some of these comments. So I just want to make that clear before we get started here. So I just thought this was interesting, seeing this in the last week. You know, from the Curry Solidarity team, they had this is, you know, directly as you'll see from their Facebook page. But if you look at it, you know, it says setting the record straight. And I've highlighted some things in blue here. You know, basically it says, you know, there is much at stake in this election, and UAW members deserve to make decisions based on the truth. As the saying goes, you are entitled to your own opinions, but not your own facts. So here is where we shed light on the lies, the rumors of the day, the half-truths, and the urban legends that seem to crop up daily. So I find this interesting. You know, as always, the IAB does a really good job of guilting people, making people feel guilty if they support anyone but them, and make you feel like you're doing something wrong, alienating people. So I always find it interesting for them to basically put a post on here, and they've got a bunch of drop downs I'm going to go through in a minute on this post. So as they're saying, basically everyone else but them is giving the truth. So they're saying this is based on the truth, and but you know, everybody else is giving their own facts. So rather than use their terminology, lies, rumors of the day, half-truths, and urban legends, I'm just going to call a lot of what they're saying on here what it is. It's bullshit. So looking at one of the first drop-down screens is really interesting here. So this one, you know, it reads, and I'm holding these up just because I want you to see that this isn't my words. I'm not paraphrasing. I'm not making this up. You can see this on their webpage, but I just want to basically, so no one can accuse me of lying or giving half-truths or BS. This is pretty interesting. This first question here, it's, I heard the IAB voted themselves big raises at the recent Constitutional Convention. And then it says, true, with a question mark. And the answer on this is no. Two things happened at the convention, and they are things that happen at every convention. So they go on to say, first, UAW staff have a union and they negotiate a contract. That's true. The staff raises are pegged to what the GM workers negotiate in their contract. That's true. Because salaries are written in the Constitution, delegates change the salary figures every 4 years to reflect what happened in bargaining between the conventions. That's true. So now we get on to this part I got highlighted in blue down here, the second part. The second change is that delegates, so I got that really heavily highlighted because, again, they're blaming delegates here. And delegates did do this, but I'll get to why in a minute. The second change is that delegates changed IEB salaries from a formula to actual salaries. And all of these changes to the Constitution were voted on by the delegates, not the IEB. So, you know, the sad part of this, and I guess I'll just hit this button.
Attention, the bullshit meter has detected major BS. Confirmed, that's definitely some bullshit.
Exactly what it is. And so if you look at the reality of this, or what they're saying, you know, they're saying that the delegates changed the IAB salaries from a formula to actual salaries. Well, that did happen this convention. But what they're not saying is, you know, how prior to the convention, you know, the regional reps and the regions and the IAB go into full action. They go out and they meet with the local leaderships and the delegates, and they push their agenda of what they want to happen at the convention. That's how this works. So they get done whatever they want to get done because they know before the convention happens, they have their agenda locked down because they have garnered enough support. The interesting fact of this is, you know, at the last convention, not this one, but 2018, you know, when they talk about the formula, they changed the formula this time to actual salary. The formula was created by the IEB, and it was created by the IEB to give the IEB members, strictly the board members, you know, upwards of 30% pay increases. That's where you hear about the 30% pay increase. It's not all international staff. It was the IEB, and they did it underhandedly because they came up with this formula of a percentage of staff pay rather than saying they want to pay the president and the VPs and the directors this salary, they came up with a creative percentage-based formula, and they got it passed at the last convention in 2018. So now, under the guise of transparency, they want to say that at this convention, they made it transparent by putting the salaries in there. Well, they did. They put the salaries with the 30% pay increases in there. So, call it what you want. The bottom line is, when you look at the convention overall, there are 500 international reps, roughly, and there's roughly, 1,000 delegates there. So you're looking at the convention, basically, there's one international rep in there for every 2 delegates. I mean, it's not hard to understand the pressure that's put on people, on the delegates when they're on the floor, and how these things happen. So again, to pass this off as truth and as fact is completely, again, BS, because the bottom line is they're not telling the entire truth here. It's half truth, because they pressure the delegates and changing the salaries from a formula to actual salaries. Yeah, they did that, but that cemented the 30% pay increases in the Constitution. So on to the next subject. Here's another one. I heard that IEB members collect double or triple pensions. Is this true? This is directly from, again, their webpage, not me making this up. I'm reading directly their questions and answers. And their answer to this about double or triple pensions is no. But again, it's half truth. They say IEB members, like most staff, work in UAW represented work sites. True. Each work site has negotiated rules about how pensions accrue while the individual is on staff. In no case, however, do staff, including IEB members, get double or triple pension credits while on staff. So they can say that's true. That is true. But the bottom line is, here's what it is.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's 3 gallons of bullshit in a 2-gallon bucket.
It's exactly what it is. 3 gallons of bullshit in a 2-gallon bucket. Because here's the deal, and here's the truth on this. We don't get a double pension. The way they're framing this, they're saying, I work at Chrysler, so I get a pension from Chrysler because I've got 28 years and I've worked so many years for Chrysler. That's true. I don't get a double pension from Chrysler, but what happens is international staff, have negotiated pensions for staff. It's a separate pension plan that's paid for by the UAW. And so if you want to call it that, call it that. It's not a double pension as far as from Chrysler or from GM or Ford or wherever your pension may be from, if you're lucky enough to have one, but you do get 2 pensions. So again, I call bullshit on this because it's not factual. The other interesting thing is when we talk about pensions and we're talking about the staff is, the early retirement incentive programs that they've been offering in the last 3 years. In 2016, we had roughly 467 staff members. And throughout 2021 and 22, the IEB has offered early retirement incentive programs, so ERIPs, of $20,000 for international staff. So under the guise of doing it to reduce staff. Well, the interesting thing in this is, as I said, in 2016, we had roughly 467 staff members. Here we are in 2022, and they're in the midst of offering the 3rd ERIP, and we're at 508 international reps. So, again, the reason I came out, and when I announced my candidacy was the fact that, raising the pensions of the international staff, it just displays the misguided priorities on behalf of the international leadership. The majority of our members do not have a pension. We've lost COLA. It's been suspended, several other things. We've had 2 golden opportunities in 15 and 19 to get these things back and to make improvements, and there's been zero movement on those issues. And until we put the membership first and address their needs, the last thing that should be happening is we're increasing pensions for international staff. Next subject on there that I want to call bullshit on, why isn't the strike pay $500 a week? That was another one of the questions, that they put on there, and this is their factual answer, according to them. The International Executive Board raised strike pay to $400 on June 7th. Well, yes, they did. A majority of the delegates to the 38th convention voted to increase strike pay even more to $500 per week. That's true, they did. Then they go on to say, but the delegates further debated and the majority voted to reconsider the initial increase and return it to $400 a week. The amount of strike pay affects the size of the UAW strike and defense fund. And so they went on to say that the 2019 GM strike would have cost an additional $29 million with a $500 weekly strike pay. So again, let's get to the facts of this.
Oh, no, you did it. That's some bullshit.
Because that's exactly what this is. It's more bullshit. So the International Executive Board did raise strike pay to $400 on June 7th. So they knew that the delegates had submitted proposals to resolutions to raise strike pay for our members to $500 or $400 or $500. So what the International do? They jump the gun in order to try to garner support for themselves, knowing an election's coming up, and they raise it to $400. Hey, it's great. Okay, I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not going to say that's wrong. I'm glad they did it. They finally took an initiative and did something, knowing it was going to happen at the convention anyway. But the interesting part of this is we get to the convention and the membership pulls a resolution and they make a motion to increase it to $500 a week. And it was overwhelmingly endorsed and supported by the delegates on that day. So it was over 400 delegates voted to support raising the pay to $500. So for the IAB to say they then further debated and then voted to reconsider it and reduce it back to $400, let's be real what really happened here. The person that made the motion on the last day of the convention to decrease it was a gentleman that got up and proudly proclaimed he was from Ray Curry's local. The second thing is the night before this all happened was all the regional dinners and regional receptions that a lot of the delegates go to. And at that point, that is where, international staff and a lot of the leaders approach delegates and local leaders, and they push their agenda for what they wanted to do on the final day of the convention, which one of the items was cut this pay back down to $400 because God forbid the delegates of our union actually take care of business of the members. The third part of this that's complete BS is the fact that they allude to the 2019 GM strike would have cost an additional $29 million with a $500 weekly strike pay. What they're not being truthful about here is they're comparing that to strike pay at $275. They're not comparing it to $400. So if the strike pay was $400 versus $500, you're talking about a $7 million difference. So again, they're not being honest. And so I call bullshit on that. And we have to get real about this. This is the problem with this. They misinform our members and they pass it off as a truth. And then they want to guilt people into thinking that everybody else that's in opposition to them, is the problem. And we're all in here to, hurt the UAW or take over the UAW or destroy the UAW, which is all BS. Everybody running for this thing is, this isn't easy. It's time consuming as hell and it's a lot of pressure and we don't have the resources and all of the, the benefits of, travel and, access to the membership that the IAB has. So everyone that's doing this, outside of this, I believe is in it for the right reasons. The last thing I want to address here is, the final sack of bullshit is why are people saying the Monitor's third report was an attack on the UAW? And so the IAB and their slate go on to say on this, we don't know why some people choose to not give the full context of the Monitor's report. The Monitor's third report was filed on July 19th and provided an update. The report documents contentious moments, to be sure, but the Monitor concludes that the union once again appears to be on the right track. And that's on page 6, supposedly. He goes on to say, it appears the union has a stronger foundation, but omitting the hard work that the UAW has done and adopting the Monitor's recommendations, improving communication to the Monitor's team, as well as the Monitor's statements commending our union for its new general counsel, presents a distorted perspective of the report that can only be designed to mislead members. This is unfortunate and the members deserve better. Now, this is their words. Now, let's be real about this. So they skip around here. They talk about page 6 and page 4 and 19 and 22. Well, if you actually read this report, go to page 2 and 3, because the irony of this is when Ray Curry and the slate here are saying that we don't know why some people choose to not give the full context of the monitor's report, they're the ones not giving the full context of the monitor's report. If you go to page 2 and 3, it's very informative where the monitor stood and why this all happened. The monitor point blank said, and to quote the monitor, it point blank said that when Curry took over, and the new IB members, when they took over, that the cooperation took a distinctive turn for the worse. So think about that. Now, we're in the midst of all this crime that's went on, all these indictments that went on. How in the hell anybody assumes the presidency and things take a turn for the worse is beyond me. It's unexcusable, but that was the words of the monitor. The second part of this that is even worse is the monitor went on to say on pages 2 and 3 that the IB did not cooperate with the monitor and were concealing corruption of an assistant director at one of the reasons. So here we are, after all these things have happened, and an issue came up with mishandling of cash with an assistant director, and rather than report it and deal with the monitor, Ray Curry and the IAB chose to conceal it from the monitor. And only when the monitor took Ray Curry and our attorneys to the Department of Justice, think of that, the monitor had to threaten them and take them before the Department of Justice to get them to comply. So at that point, President Curry went into defense mode. So they demoted one of the attorneys and hired a new counsel, and they asked for a total reset with the monitor, and the monitor granted it. So at the conclusion of the report, the monitor says that now they're on the right path. So out of that whole thing, Curry and their caucus want to focus on the monitor says we're on the right path, and there were some contentious moments. Well, the contentious moments is what's been left out of this. And again, I call bullshit on that, because the bottom line is there's no excuse for those things to happen after everything this union's been through. If we're being transparent and going to get this union on the right path, then we have to move forward, and we have to eradicate this union of the people that have taken liberties and screwed our members over. This isn't about them. This is about you, the membership. In closing, one of the things I just, we'll touch on every time I talk. The bottom line, this election's about one thing. It's about power and control of this union. And the bottom line is we're not going to get power and control of this union back in the hands of the membership unless we elect new leaders. They're going to guilt you. They're going to fearmonger. They're going to make you think that if you elect anyone else, everything's going to fall apart. And that's just flat out wrong. And again, it's flat out bullshit. The bottom line, you elect new leadership with vision, with experience. Our Members United slate, are people that are battle tested. We've been there. And even in the races, as I've said, where there aren't people from Members United slate running or endorsed by UAWD, bottom line is if there's opposition candidates in other races, you need to vote for the opposition candidates. That's our chance. This isn't a one-man show. It's not a one-person race. We have to elect multiple people in order to get an effect on that board and be able to take on your issues, addressing tiers, addressing COLA, fighting for retirees, fighting for your jobs. There's so many plants that have been closed and spun off during the last 2 contracts in the last 10 years, during some of the most economic wealthy times of these corporations. And the corporations are flush with cash and have been, and we've seen plant after plant get closed and spun off. These are our jobs. We're going into EV now. The EV has been we're already behind on that now, and we can't afford any more setbacks in this union. So we've got to get new leadership in there, and we've got to get this union moving forward. I appreciate you guys getting on here. I'm trying to scroll through some comments here, just to see. Hey, Gary, how you doing, brother? Thanks for the comment. Yeah, don't forget to mention how they passed a proposal to have the regional delegates or directors handpick the delegates for the ethics committee. That's another thing that went on in the convention, and so, the bottom line is, we've got to get away from this villainization of our of those who oppose the IEB. This union is we've got to be real. This union's got to take a hard look in the mirror. This leadership does. I love the UAW. Everybody that's running for this, every one of these people on the UAW, on the Members United slate, even the other candidates that are running against in opposition of the IEB, we all have the same agenda. Our agenda is we love this union more than we love ourselves. We're putting ourselves out there for a reason because we believe this union can be better. We love the UAW. The bottom line is the leadership puts themselves first over the membership, and that's what's got to change. So when they tell you, that everybody's out here to destroy the UAW, or, it's personal agendas, or, people with grand visions for their own self, that is bullshit. So I thank you guys for getting on here tonight. Trying to scroll through here, see if there's any more comments on here, anything. Appreciate everybody with the comments, though. So I plan on doing another video on Labor Day. So look forward to talking to you guys on Labor Day. And, I'm going to close this out now, but I appreciate people getting on. You need to spread the words. The best thing you can do, get in your plants, spread the words about opposition candidates, and let's take this union back to the membership. So hope you all have a great Labor Day weekend. It's time for us to get back in the fight for this membership, and we're in it to win it. So we hope.